Scourge,
and pocketehs or Jake.
and we are doing a little session review on Jake's.
10-0 on stars.
Yeah, that's the one. So, Jake, if you want to just go ahead and start the video.
Cool. So just to let you know, whoa, it's like getting feedback. So just to let you know, it's 6 tables, 6 max. And the things that like I'm gonna be focusing on this video and that I really focused on when I was making the video was exploiting weaknesses, just based on HUD stats, mainly full in the 3-bet, fold the 3-bet, C-bet, and fold the C-bet versus specific players. What else we talk about? Oh, 3-bets, pre-flop. So versus fish, in position we're going to 3-bet depolarized, and same with out of position. So we're always 3-betting fish depolarized.
Because we don't bluff fish.
Sorry?
Because we don't bluff fish.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because they always call. And then regs, in position, we're going to 3-bet polarized, and out of position, depolarized.
And that's because we expect when regs are out of position, they're not going to be flatting too many of our 3-bets, so we don't mind throwing in some more bluffs in there. But in position, they're going to be flatting us more, so we want to have a wider value range and not as many bluffs.
Yeah.
Really no bluffs.
Yeah. And then what was the other thing that we were talking about, Matt? Oh, right. The other thing that I was talking about was kind of realizing our pot equity and fold equity on each street. It's something that I probably don't do a lot, but I think it's probably a good idea to actually do. Make a habit of it. So we're going to try to do that on each street.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's go for it.
We'll start it now. So obviously the kings here, we're going to open and same with ace-10. Some things that I'm also going to try to be doing on all the tables is just playing a lot better positionally, so opening wider in late position. And so obviously the kings, like he min 3-bets in the small blind here, which I should probably just shove.
Yeah. I think a shove looks good here. His stack size is pretty tiny. I hope everyone's able to see on the screen, but right. he's got like 345 behind right now. So
yeah, and he's a 31, 21, 3-bet 17. So either way, like we have kings, we're obviously getting it in.
Yeah, I also don't think that flatting is bad, just because he's probably getting it in on most flops. But 4-betting seems the best, just because he's so short.
Yeah, I definitely think 4-betting's the best.
All right, so you got the ace-4 open on the button, seems standard.
Yep. And then just because on table 3, he limped on the blind versus blind, I just instantly tagged him as a fish, which is probably fine.
Yeah, for sure. So just to clarify, you're doing from left to right, starting on the top row, labeling them as 1 through 6?
Yep.
Okay. So that ace-4 hand on the button, you just made a C-bet and took it down?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And then this hand that's coming up on table 2, I think it's probably an ISO. Isolate that. It's coming up in just 1 sec. Sorry, reminded it by accident, but
yeah, no worries.
See. So once again, I'm just trying to label everyone as I go along. As soon as I see them do something bad, I just label them. So the ace deuce here on table 2, fish limps, and the small blind. I could probably ISO this and make it 50 cents, but I folded, which is pretty weak.
And then would have flopped 2 pair.
Yeah.
I don't think folding ace deuce there is bad. Obviously, ISOing isn't bad either. If he has a full stack, I'm more inclined to ISO as well.
Yeah.
because we get more fold equity post flop. But he's what is that, a 56-0 he's running right now?
Yeah, we're 17 hands. So like I have really no idea if he's limping like, all his hands or just like his marginal hands. He's just trying to play everything. So the reason I didn't really want to isolate there was just because I hate playing weak aces out of position. So especially versus people who are just going to call.
Yeah, I think that's legitimate. So like one thing to remember, right, when we get these huge ranges like this, is that we don't really know what they're playing, and so you're right that ace deuce is going to be kind of tricky because I mean he's obviously going to have aces, like he's limping every ace if he's playing 50% of his hands. He might not even raise aces, I don't know, but so yeah, I think folding is totally fine, especially out of position. If we were in position, it's probably more of a definitive, like you should definitely be.
Yeah, definitely in position. I'm definitely gonna open that or isolate that, but it's just because I was out of position. But
yep.
Okay. So I think I opened here on table 2, and I'm definitely just gonna see bet this just because it hits my range really hard, and just expecting him to fold.
Yeah, well, I think at this spot you're c-betting not because it hits your range hard, but because it doesn't. Because no flop is hitting him hard.
Yeah.
His range is so wide that he's going to miss, tons of flops. Even on an ace-high flop, we're not like, oh no, like he's got an ace all the time.
Right. And then table 1, like with king 10 off, this guy's, I have him labeled as a fish. He's a 32-25 with a 9% 3-bet. So I think I just elect to fold. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that seems good. I don't know why you have him labeled as a fish, if it was for stats or for a play that you saw.
I think it was just like note specific. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because his stats are like, I mean, they're obviously fairly loose, but they seem like lag reg a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, his sizing was like proper 3-bet sizing, so I'm more inclined to just fold that, like you did.
Yep. And I think I just see that here just because I want to have no information on the guy. And then 2, like I have a lot of equity. Like I have 2 overcards plus backdoor clubs. So
yeah,
when I pick up a club on the turn, I can barrel again. And then if he has like 8s or something, like he has to fold. Like he's probably more likely to fold, I think, here, and like 6s as well as like ace-7 and all those spade draws and stuff as well. So
yeah,
like 6-4, 6-8, all those kind of things. Well, obviously not 6-8, but
yeah, well, certainly not 6-8 unless he misclicks. But hold on, can you pause the tape for just a sec?
Yeah.
So I think that the main point to c-betting this flop isn't that he's an unknown, but rather that he's an unknown, and we get this flop where, like, unless he's playing 100% of hands, we don't really need to worry about him connecting too hard most of the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just like a totally standard, relatively dry board c-bet.
Okay.
Yeah, so go for it.
Cool. Makes sense. And then he calls again. And then
what do you put him on when he calls again?
Honestly, just a lot of draws and some small, like medium pocket pairs.
Okay, and after he's called the flop on the turn, do you think he folds any of the pocket pairs?
Not when the board pairs with another 9.
Okay.
So I think that I checked it back here just because I knew that I had showdown value with ace high. And like there's a lot of draws that kind of missed after the 9. And if he didn't check raise the 9 or donk the 9 on the turn, then I think he has like he could have like 3-4, 4-3. Or sorry,
that's the same hand, but yeah.
Yeah, like
I think
6-4, things like that, and then like as well as like spade draws and stuff.
Yeah, I think he has mostly spade draws and pocket pairs, like 4s, 6s, 8s. But yeah, I think checking back is fine because if you bet and he had a pocket pair, he's probably not folding at this point. And if
Yeah.
you bet and he folds his draws, well, we beat all his draws anyway, except for like specifically 6-5 suited.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then plus, like, if I just check it back and, like, the majority of the time I'm good just because I have ace high, then I get to see what he had anyways. So, I mean, those times that he does have a pair, then I can make a note on him and say, like, oh, like, he's calling, like, 3 streets with, like, you know, threes
Yeah.
or something, right? So,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Let's see what he had.
it'd be so funny if I bet here and just, like, jammed.
Well, I hope you don't jam.
No. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, checks it back. Okay, yeah, so he was opening on the flop, picked up. So in his mind, he has a shit ton of equity on the turn. So, you know, that's actually
tons,
his play is not as fishy as it looked from our perspective. But
And, like, I think I was going to label as a fish, and then I was like, I kind of looked at his equity, like, on each street, and I was like, oh, okay, I understand.
yeah,
But, like, he still did flat 6-4 suited in small blind to an under the gun open.
yes, he
Just
did.
kind of fishy.
Well, I mean, he's running. I don't know what your hand sample is, but he's like 33-0 right now.
Yeah, 7 hands.
Okay, it's a tiny sample, but
Yeah,
clearly not tag. Clearly not a tag.
yeah, definitely not a tag.
I think honestly that hand would be a good point to label him as a fish, just because he made that call in small blind.
Yeah, I think I should probably make a note there, which I didn't.
Okay. Man, we've got a. This is like the second or third hand where you've been it limped all the way around to you in the big blind. I'm like, why are you in this pot? But it's because it was limp. Honestly, so that hand on table 1, can you pause for a second?
Yep.
Okay. So I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like it's only you and the small blind in the pot.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that, like, I'm basically raising almost any 2 cards when the small blind completes and it's just us 2 in the pot. I think you'll be surprised at how many folds you get, and you're guaranteed to have position. So I think against pretty much anyone that you see doing that, you can't go too wrong if you decide to raise.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea, especially because, like, just looking at his stats right now, his fold to c-bet is like 46%.
Okay, well, that's actually pretty low, so that might be
Yeah.
a good reason to not raise his completion, because he's probably just going to call. But against most players, you know, that's definitely something to just, like, it's not a bad default. Obviously, we don't want to just go by default, but you'll be shocked probably at how often you see people complete and then fold.
Yeah.
So yeah, just wanted to
For sure.
put
Makes
that in.
sense. So are you saying then to raise it like 3x or 4x just because he already linked one then?
3x is fine there because I don't think making it 4x gets any more folds. So unless you actually have a value hand, I would just keep it on the kind of like 2.5 or 3x scale.
Sure. So table 2 or table 4, sorry, I checked.
You
I
checked
didn't
that
even
flop?
see bet the flop.
Okay, because he's running like a 60 something, right? VPIB.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's running a 60-37 over 185 hands. So I figured like him calling this or like me c-betting that flop, he's like never folding because he's only folding c-bets like 54%. So and I figured that board is probably going to hit him the most.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that a c-bet, it's probably not like negative EV, but I think that the margin is pretty small, and we can get into tricky spots when we c-bet and he does call. So I think definitely check folding that is totally standard and fine.
Okay. Cool.
So sorry, on this table 2, what can you go back?
Yeah.
Lost a little bit what happened here. We just picked up a backdoor tiny flush.
So on flop, so he limped and then I was in the big blind, so then I checked, planning to check call the flop. Was debating on donking this here, but I figured check calling would be fine again. And then when I hit it, I was just like, oh well, now I pretty much just have to check call as well, or even check fold. Well,
Yeah.
probably just check call.
On the river, I think check folding is probably fine because this player has now checked behind on 2 streets, not just checked 2 streets, but checked behind on 2 streets. So when he bets, he's definitely got a higher. I mean, he's got a flush when he bets.
Yeah.
So.
And then on table 3, I get check raised on a 9 deuce 6 2 spade board, min check raised.
Okay.
And at this point, the guy's a short sucker and he's a fish, so I'm 100% just folding here.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get it in or call with any ace highs. So.
Yeah, I mean, you see that like min check raise kind of play, and it's almost always in nuts.
Yeah, exactly, especially from like a 40-0.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, like, even if I have equity in that pot, I'm probably snap folding. Just like, there's no reason to create variance for ourselves when we're not really sure what his range might be and we expect to be behind. So yeah, we get kind of small 3-bet from short stacker over here, huh?
Yeah. So like obviously my plan usually here is just to, and we know this guy's getting in with jacks because he got it in with jacks earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like we can't really call for implied odds and like just the set line.
You're right.
Just because the stack's so small.
Yeah, we're getting we're getting
so.
we're getting less than like, let's see, we have to call 40 cents. He's got 335 behind, so like even if he stacks off every time we hit a set, we're only barely breaking even, and I don't think that that's a given.
Yeah, I really think we're breaking even. But
yeah, you're right. Actually, we're not.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's just a fold for sure.
Yeah.
And like even if he's like, I could like just get it in there because he's like 3-betting 20%, but I'm not really confident to getting in 4s with for less than or like for 40 bigs versus a fish who min 3-bets. So
yeah, well, I think part of the point is that you've only seen one of the hands that he's 3-bet, and now it's jacks, so we can't. I mean, you see the 20%. I don't know how many hands that's over.
Yeah, 41.
41 total hands or 41 3-bet stat?
41 total hands. So.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty tiny. So that's probably
that's probably like 1.
It's 1 out of 5, almost certainly. Yeah. So we saw the one time he did it, and we can't narrow his range beyond that.
I got a question here on table 2. So table 1, we're obviously flatting because we have implied odds like to flop sets and stuff. Plus, then we get fish over here to call. But on table 2,
well, actually, hold on one second. I want to just talk about the 3s for half a second here. Sure. So you said something like we have implied odds when we hit sets.
No, just a call, yeah.
Right, but I just want to kind of challenge like the idea that we have implied odds here, because I think that this is a place where I used to get really confused, which is that when we're set mining, the ideal situation is that we're facing a raise from early position, and we're going to be in position against one opponent, because what we're trying to have happen when we set mine is that we stack off against no repair when we hit a set, and we fold when we don't hit a set.
Right.
So I think that against a wider range, a hand like pocket 3s that's like really, really a baby pair is not actually going to be doing so great, and I'd actually consider folding depending on who my opponent is. If he's really fishy and I can like guaranteed stack when I hit a set, and he has any kind of hand, then yes, of course I'm going to set mine. But I don't think you should necessarily like default flat here.
So are you saying that some of the times you're going to 3-bet then?
No, I'm saying that some of the times I'm gonna fold it because the fact that I have a pair in the hole is actually not that important. What's important is like how I'm gonna make money with it after the flop. And I think when a player like this is raising, I don't think I'm necessarily gonna have a great plan for making money post flop.
Right. Okay.
But sorry, go on with the table 2.
Table 2. Fish opens, and we have king queen, and I think this is a 3-bet. Don't you think?
And this is the same guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's his 3-bet stat?
0.
And his folded 3-bet?
71.
Okay.
Over 181 hands.
And he's opening 15%. Do you?
Opening about 15%, and
he's an MP. So that's probably like, I'm gonna pull Poker Stove out here just for a second. So let me just ask you, what are you trying to accomplish with a 3-bet here?
Well, like just because he's a fish, well, I think it probably is a flat just because looking at his folded 3-bet stat.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, like, just because he is a fish, like, we want to be 3-betting these depolarized hands, right? But that way, because, like, he's just going to call, like, king jack and stuff as well. And then when it comes king high, we can get it in on the best of times, right?
Yeah. So that's like a good way of thinking about it, like in general, I think. But I think that in this particular spot, we have to just pay a little more attention to his actual stats.
Yeah, I think so too.
And so he's raising 15%, which is putting him at roughly ace 10 plus, king 10 plus, queen jack plus, and every pocket pair, just very approximately.
Yeah.
And so thinking about what we want to accomplish if we're 3-betting a hand like king queen offsuit, I mean, we want folds. Like when he does call, we're not in a position where we're necessarily getting value.
Yeah. Now, I understand, and I think this is the reason why, like, I do go ahead and flat. It's just because, like, I didn't want him to fold, like, all those pairs and his worst jacks or worst kings and queens and stuff as well. So I wanted to keep some of his more marginal hands in. So that's why I flat, and especially just because it was fold to 3-bet. So plus I'm in position.
Yeah. So now that all being said, I don't think 3-betting is bad. I just think it's like important to realize that when he does flat it, what we're trying to do is like hopefully he's playing fit or fold post flop, and we can take the pot from the weaker part of his flatting range.
Right.
But yeah, I think a flat is probably going to be a better default.
Right. And just looking at his like c-bet stat, it's like 33%.
Okay.
So I think that makes a better case for just calling as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. You check raises.
So you just check raises. So.
And we're about to 3-bet him? Is that what we're doing? Oh, okay.
No.
I thought I saw the sizing change on the slider, and I was like, what are we doing?
No way.
Okay.
And then on table 3 there, you dismissed it, but I just flatted queen jack when the button limped and small blind called. Then I was in the big blind with queen jack.
Okay, so you just checked behind the pre-flop?
Yeah, but I think that's terrible. I think I should definitely ISO that.
Yeah, I mean, like when the button limps and then the small blind completes, that's pretty much a mandatory raise with like any.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
Any kind of biggish cards, yeah.
Yep.
It's definitely one of those things where I default do that, but then like if you're 6-tabling and then you're maybe not 100% paying attention to that hand, you're like, oh, I have queen jack and big blind, I check. Like,
yeah,
like I definitely understand that as well.
So table 1, I'm c-betting because I have the ace of clubs and like 2 overs, like once again. So
okay, well,
if comes another club, then I can barrel again on the turn. And it's with 2 people, so like normally I think that flop would probably hit some late position flag falling ranges, but I
Okay.
think. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what? When the first thing you said was like a blocker to flush draws, I'm like a little skeptical of that. I think that most important, and then you did mention this, was the board texture and how it's going to hit their range. And
Yeah.
this is pretty much a great board to see bet. Having ace of clubs helps because no one can have the nut flush draw. But
Yeah. Exactly. And then I turn a lot of equity when I come club.
yeah,
So-
I think it's fine. I probably wouldn't C bet this into 3 players, but I think 2 is probably going to still show a profit.
Yep, for sure. So we'll keep it like that. And I just made it a little bit larger as well.
Yep, that's fine.
See what happens here.
He's taking his time about it. Okay.
We're just saying folds.
Yeah.
I thought we were getting an interesting hand coming.
Yeah, no, I thought he was going to raise or something. Like, I mean, that's a snap fold, obviously, but I thought something was going to happen.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Not too much happening. So I guess
a little bit
I'll just
where
take
it
like
gets,
I'll just take like 2 seconds to talk about polarize and depolarize. If you see a hand pop up, go ahead and pause it.
Sure,
but
and there's a few spots in there.
just let it go. So I'm gonna pull up Poker Stove right here, and so when we talked about how ranges shape, it's different depending on kind of the situation. So we talked about how we want to be betting, 3-betting a polarized range in position against regulars. So polarized just means that instead of our range being our strongest hands and then hands that are a little bit weaker and then hands that are a little bit weaker, we have hands that are very strong and hands that are very weak. So if we want to be, say, 3-betting ace king ace king and then kings plus for value, and then that's our only part of our value range. I don't know why Poker Stove is being weird, sorry.
So
this
just
is-
one sec.
yeah.
Like in hand 2, I see bet this flop, and have the intention just to snap off, just because. I mean, I do have a pair, and I feel like fish with 20 bigs is just going to ship this flop as soon as I ISO and he calls. So he's probably just, when he ships here, he probably just has a draw. So I was giving that up, and you keep going.
All right, I mean, I think he probably has pocket pairs anywhere from 6s through 10s as well as weird jacks, but he also has awkward 10-5 suited as well. So
That's sick, right?
all right, yeah. So let's say we're 3-betting aces, kings, ace king, suited and offsuit for value. But to balance and also to get folds against regs who are going to fold out of position, we're going to add stuff like ace deuce through ace 5 suited, where we've got a blocker with the ace,
Right.
and we can also still flop some equity with flush draws and top pair.
Yeah.
And so, this kind of, again, balances us, but also regs are going to be folding a lot to 3-bets out of position. So that's polarized. You see you have bad hands as bluffs, the nuts as the nuts. So depolarized is just basically the opposite, where instead of 3-betting very weak hands as bluffs, we're going to now add medium strength hands to our 3-betting range. So now I'm adding 10s plus,
Right.
ace queen suited, ace queen offsuit, maybe king queen suited. And this is the kind of stuff that we're going to be 3-betting against regs when we're out of position, because we expect them to flat a wider range in position.
Right. So we're like 3-betting for value.
Right. We don't really have a bluff 3-bet range as much out of position against regulars.
Right. So sorry, just to stop you there. There's
Yeah.
a couple spots here for 3-bets.
Go for it. My spiel is done.
Like I think the first one is pretty obvious. On table 1, this is the guy. Sorry, the mouse on the screen is kind of in the worst spot there, but it's like the guy's like a fold to 3-bet of like 71%. So this is 100% 3-bet, and then I think on table 2 it's just a fold, just because the guy's 3-betting 4% over 246 hands. So
hold on 1 second. So you said table 1. Sorry, so he's folding the 3-bet. How much?
71%.
Okay, yeah, this is a great hand to do this with because
Yeah,
I mean we don't have a blocker, but we are going to flop pretty well even when he does decide to flat, but it's still a snap fold if he like 4-bets.
Yep.
So yeah, and yeah, the pocket 4 is definitely fold. So he does call us. That's good. That's fun.
yeah. So
we
then,
catch an
like,
interesting
the
board too.
comes like ace high, and we do have a pair.
Yeah.
So I'm just c-betting all the time, and I mean he's gonna fold so much. He's just like, if he's a fish, he's gonna call pre and then fold the flop to a c-bet a lot of the time, especially if it's ace high too. So
yeah. Okay, hold on 1 second. So you're c-betting as basically a semi-bluff here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so because we can pick up, 2 pair and a 10, and
plus,
we expect him to.
If he calls the flop, I can still barrel the turn and get jacks to fold as well.
Well, I don't know that you know that. I think I'd be careful of double barreling at like 10 and L against a player like this. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be bad in all situations, and there are definitely instances where it's good, but I'm not convinced he folds jacks here.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I don't know,
but
he's folding a c-bet 22% of the time or something. So obviously, if he calls the c-bet here, he's going to show up with a hand. So I think you're right.
Yeah, but you can roll it. Okay.
Yep.
Let's see what happens. Yep, and so that's, I'm honestly terrible myself at taking notes, but it'd probably be good to note that he flatted the 3-bet and then check folded that flop, an ace high flop. So he's probably does have like queens or jacks, maybe even something like 9s or 8s there, or like king queen, I guess. But I was a little surprised that he has. I would be pretty surprised to see not a pocket pair there, just because he does fold to a lot of 3-bets.
So that 3-bet in the on table 3 was a huge misclick.
Okay. How so? In
sizing? Like, I don't think it's like bad.
Frankly, I think the sizing's fine. He min raises, but that doesn't mean that we should be betting so tiny. Let's pause the tape for a second here, though.
Yeah.
So when he calls, what are you thinking that he has here? Like when he min raises and then calls your 3-bet, kind of what hands are you putting him on?
On table 2?
Table 3.
Table 3.
So he min raised from the cutoff.
Yeah.
And you 3-bet to 90 cents, and he.
I don't know. It's pretty hard to say just because I think you just have a number of hands and a lot of pairs and weird stuff as well. And like broadways, it's like I hate when people say that, but I think it probably is there just because I have no information on him in short stack. They min opened and then called my 9x 3-bet, so I don't think he's like that good.
Well, your 3-bet wasn't 9x; it was 4.5. But
okay, yeah, sure.
But yeah, So what? Obviously, we're c-betting this board. It's like the perfect board to c-bet. But what are you doing if he shoves all in?
So if I c-bet like $1.10, he shoves in.
Yeah, and you got to call 2 more into like.
I don't know. I might even call, like, to be honest, just because he's short stacked and I guess he just has pairs there.
Yeah. So I mean, I I think honestly, if he shoves, you can probably find a fold, unless without info. Just because you're getting like roughly 3-1, but I don't think we're gonna have 25% equity against him. I mean, maybe, but I think he basically has a pocket pair or double Broadway with a jack like all the time.
Yeah.
So you know, it's probably close, but
Yeah, you're probably right, but I don't know. I think that's probably an area where I skew a lot. Is it's just like you know, he's only got 40 bigs, and like I got ace king, like he's just bluffing. I better calls, but yeah, you're probably right. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's play the tape and then we'll.
And then on table 2.
Well, we'll go back. We'll go back to table 2. Let's just focus on 3 for now.
Sure.
So we make a C bet. He probably is just gonna fold and spite me. He's thinking about it. Okay, he just folds. That's fine.
So just going back 1 sec.
Yep.
Queens. See bet the flop.
Wait, so what did you?
And I make it a little bit larger, I think, on flop.
So
just because I'm not like pumped about the board.
Are you under the gun in this hand?
Yeah.
Okay, so you race under the gun and he flats. You see bet on that board and he calls. Ace peels off on the turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he overbet donks.
Okay, what are you thinking right now? What will hit about his range?
I'm thinking sets. I'm thinking hands, like 2 pairs, like...
Pause the tape.
Ace jack.
Okay.
I think he probably like, when he donks the turn and stuff as well, he'd probably have like ace king, ace queen and stuff, just because he's never 3-betting. He's never 3-bet once over almost 200 hands, so I mean, all those are a possibility.
Okay.
So when he calls the flop, I'm pretty worried.
Yeah.
And then when he overbet donks the turn, I'm just folding.
Well, okay. Yeah, so I think he has an ace here almost all the time. And I think a lot of it is actually going to be like ace 7, ace 5, and like ace X with clubs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a really solid fold. I think a lot of people try to trick themselves into like, well, he like donks out, like it's so fishy, like I have to call one street, and then inevitably like the guy shoves the river, and they're like, oh shit, and then they have to fold. So
yeah, makes sense. The queen 10. I think I should ISO here.
Yeah, seems like a mandatory ISO. Oh, we get rewarded with aces for that fold.
Yeah, everyone's gonna fold for sure. And then yeah, just like on pair boards, this c-betting can miss out a lot. I
mean, it's kind of gross because he's so short stacked, but yeah, I'd probably just check fold here when he calls that. Like, there's no reason for us to think that he is folding ever. Yeah, that's a good check.
Well, like the turn is just not an ideal card.
I mean, it's not even so much that it's not a good barreling card, it's just that like when he calls and he has $2 behind, like what are you going to bet? You're going to have to try to put them all in.
Yep.
And you have no equity when he calls, pretty much. I mean, you know, you can like catch a pair, I guess.
Yeah, makes sense.
And you actually win that hand because he's an idiot.
Yeah. Serious.
But yeah, that was well played.
Nice.
Surf, not too many short stackers, but they're around, huh?
Yeah, there's quite a few actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying, but limited deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, table 2, just see that. I expect to take it down.
I mean, check raises.
Oh yeah, check raise. I'm just folding check raise to there, and then I think I isolate here.
Yeah. Okay. Pause. Yeah. So 2 things. One, in that hand against the nit, with facing the check raise, I just want to say, yeah, he's basically got to set there like 90% of the time, I'd say.
Yeah, just because it's so dry. Really.
So I think like the key to remember about nits is that they love pocket pairs. If you look at a nit's range, if they're playing like 10% of hands, sorry, I'm just gonna bring up poker stuff for like 2 seconds.
Okay.
So if they're playing,
say like
12% of hands, that's like,
because that's like a super nit at 6 points.
Yeah, that's like approximately all the pocket pairs, ace jack plus, and like some other random hands like king queen, king jack sometimes. But I think like the biggest key is that when they flat, it's even more heavily weighted toward pocket pairs because they're going to be 3-betting ace king frequently. And so when a nit check raises you and you have nothing, or even if you have something, you should probably be reconsidering whatever you were thinking about. And then with the king jack, I can't see the stats on the person who opened.
He's at 55, 35, or 205.
I think 3-betting this is fine. You just can't get married to the hand because I think that when he min raises like that, he, you know,
like if we do made his hand look so weak, like we can't exclude some of his top of his range as well, especially if he's a fish, you know?
Yeah. All right. I think your sizing is. Oh, you didn't do it yet. Okay. I thought you were gonna do the sizing that I would have done.
Yeah, I was like glitching a lot, so I.
Oh no!
And then 8-7 there, I should squeeze it as well. It was just because the video kind of glitched out the computer a bit, and then I timed out.
Yeah.
Sucks, but
might have actually caught some luck here though. Just
yeah.
Judging by how they're betting here, I'm guessing one of them has the same hand as you though. Oh, we won't get to see.
Yeah, that's weird.
All right. I didn't see all the action on that pocket six's hand, but it looked like a good fold on the river.
Yeah, it should have been a fold on the turn, to be honest.
Oh, I didn't see there was a bet on the turn. All right, I think I'm gonna put away Poker Stove because I think it's slowing everything down a little bit. Oh, Jake?
Yep.
Could you hear me?
Yep.
All right, okay. I don't know, my computer's being a little silly right now. Is your video running right now?
Yep.
All right, can you... You know what? This is... I'm getting a little bit of the rainbow disc of death right now, so can you stop the screen share for a second?
Yep.
Hopefully that'll calm it down. Okay. All right. And so you stopped the screen share, huh?
No.
Oh, you haven't. Okay, don't do that. It's working again.
So good.
Play the video.
Okay.
All right, I think we're good.
So ace 8. I think I probably open it here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, like this video, like normally I play a lot more loose, but I think it's such a late just because I open a lot more hands under the gun and in middle position. But I'm trying to play a lot more in position, so.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I just need to start folding some.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, like that's the thing. On like the cutoff, the other thing is that like we do button steals pretty easily. Like we understand those and they don't bother us at all. We do button steals a lot. But then like I think an important thing to always check is if you're in the cutoff and the guy to your immediate left is a nit, and I mean you should be pretending like you're the button.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's what I saw. I think in that hand, like just that small blind, big blind were both nits, and then like the button was 23-20. So I don't know. I figured I'd probably just steal there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm raising any ace from the cutoff by default.
Yeah.
If it's folded to me. For 6 max, obviously not for full ring.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's extenuating circumstances, like there's a maniac to my left or an aggressive 3-better in the blinds or something like that.
So I think even 9-7 there, I could probably 3-bet. Oh, actually, never mind. That's the guy who.
All right, so we've been going like a little over 45 minutes now, so let's probably wrap it up in like 10 or 15.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. There's like some pretty decent hands.
Okay.
Somewhere. Maybe I'll just try to scroll through.
We can also. I don't know if it's easier to do, but if you want to bring up Poker Tracker and like actually go through a hand history, we can do that as well. If that's easier way to find it.
Probably is another time, but I haven't even figured out my
okay.
4 yet. So
yeah, that's fair.
I can't like launch hands or like start it.
Ooh, started opening more tables.
Yeah, I think this is part where I start getting bored. So
okay. Oh, why are you? Hold, pause the tape for a second. Why are we folding that A7 suited in middle position?
Yeah, I probably should open that. I was just thinking I should probably try to put a little bit tighter so I didn't want to play like weak aces, but I don't know, it's like suited and everything, so I should probably open it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you're comfortable with is fine. My default would be to open a suited ace from any position.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
I think arguments can be made like both for and against, but so let's see if we have a big hand. So I don't think I see bet this on table 5 here. Oh. So like donk. So I just call just because.
That's so bad.
I don't think it's like necessarily bad because I think the other guy's just gonna call as well if he raises.
No, you should hold on. Pause the tape for a second.
Okay.
So here's why I think it's bad. If the guy in the cutoff had made it like 80 cents or $1, I'd actually be more inclined to call, because then I think he's just raising the guy off of a very weak hand.
Yeah.
And I still expect the donk better to fold. But when he raises to 30 cents, I think he has no idea what he's doing, and therefore I think he has a hand when he does it.
Yeah.
And just bottom pair with like no spade in my hand, just like the board is only going to get uglier for us.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's my take.
Yeah, it makes sense. So everyone's just mid betting. I'm just calling along.
And now you're getting 23-1, so you have to call.
Yeah.
So I'm probably totally wrong, and the guy has like a 9 of spades in his hand. Oh, now he brings out the big guns with 60 cents. Tell me you fold this. Okay. The guy probably like flopped a straight.
And just versus this guy here with the ace queen, I 3-bet for.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because I know he's always calling. His fold 3-bet's like 17.
Okay. I was gonna ask for that stat because I can't see it.
Yeah. So he's always calling, and I have ace queen. So.
I think that's a great raise. I think against most players, it's a good place to flat. But I also would have made your sizing bigger. Again, talking about even though he's min raising, you still want to make your 3-bet size fairly close to what you would if he made it a regular raise.
Right. Oh, so I actually made it. I actually took your idea there and just like made it bigger on flop.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he's probably gonna call flop as well. And then we hit the pawn on the turn.
Yep.
Takes back.
Did you consider checking that?
No.
Okay.
And then like the turn.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Okay.
Just because we
why not?
Are so deep. He's gonna call all his like king of spades, queen of spades. So if anything, I was inclined to make it a little bit larger than normal.
Okay.
But then on the river, I mean, this is like the worst size ever. I think the best bet sizing on this river just get called by queen of spades. Like king of spades is gonna call like I think probably up to $5 maybe, but I think queen of spades is probably only gonna call like $3.54. So I think betting here like 5 or whatever I bet is probably really bad. I'm never ever gonna get called.
I'm gonna disagree. I think that betting bigger is better here. I think that if he's calling with the king of spades for $4, he's not folding it for 6. I think that queen of spades is a little bit more likely to fold when you barrel it off again. But still he might call based on his stats and the action in the hand so far. And I think going bigger is better because most people at these limits have very inelastic ranges, which means that the changes in your bet sizing are not going to make them change the range they call with as much as we expect.
Okay. So you think what do you want to bet here?
So I think 5 is a pretty good sizing. I'd even go like 550 maybe. I think 6 is probably a little bit big. Not even so much because it's like this percentage of the pot, but because when we get over $5, it just appears bigger. If that makes sense, like so seeing the 6 instead of the 5 into the $7 pot seems much worse than say like 580, even though it's like pretty close to the same thing.
That makes sense.
But I think you can definitely go 5 for sure.
Okay. So I think I bet around 5 actually. Wow, that's so weird that I bet 580. I think he folds. But yeah, I agree somewhere around 4 or 5. I think probably 4 is probably good. Okay, so let's find a couple more hands.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing he honestly has like the 10 of spades there.
Yeah,
and he tries to like talk himself into a call, but he just like can't do it.
Oh yeah, so this ace queen hand, it looks like on table 1, sorry.
Yep, I see it.
It looks like button opens, and because he's a fish, I 3-bet.
Okay, and he's folding the 3-bet like 70%?
67.
67%. So that's probably what, like 4 out of 6 or like 8 out of 12 or something like that. I think I prefer flatting, but I don't think 3-betting is bad.
Yeah. I think, not too sure.
I mean, obviously you can make a case for 3-betting, especially because it gives us the initiative. And we like that, especially since we know this player is playing somewhat fitter fold.
Yeah.
The Rob Cho? Okay.
Yeah.
Read his name.
And then I see bet.
If he calls your C bet, what are you thinking he has?
Probably, I don't know, like you could have like hands like King 10, King Queen, like so like draw, like Broadway draws, as well as like could have better aces, so like Ace Jack, Ace King, like pretty much any ace actually. Pairs, like probably eights plus. Actually, probably majority of pairs.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna agree with some of the things you said and disagree with some. I think he definitely can have King Queen. It is just a gut shot, but it looks a lot prettier than King 10. I don't think he has King 10 there.
Right.
I think King Queen is the only gut shot he probably holds on to. I think he
But
is.
yeah, sorry, I meant like pre when he calls pre, but when he calls on the flop.
Yeah.
Like if he were to call the flop.
The flop was what I meant.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, I think you're right. You're right about pre-flop. Like his range can definitely be that wide sometimes. I think it's probably a little tighter than quote any ace.
Yeah.
I think that if he calls our C bet, we still expect to have the best hand a lot, but I don't think we're excited about it. Because I think his range starts to narrow toward aces pretty much exclusively, maybe some king jack. I don't think he's going to call any pocket pairs that are lower than jacks though. On that flop, I could be wrong.
Yeah. No, for sure.
But yeah, so queens, kings, ace king, ace jack. He can have ace queen. Not that many
combos. Yeah, but you
combos.
have hands like king jack and stuff too.
Yeah, so I think he can have king jack. I don't know that he shows up with queen jack there that much, but if he does, he calls the flop with it probably. So I think ace 10 is probably the lowest. Well, maybe not. He might have ace 9 or ace 8 there, but I think that's like getting toward the bottom of the aces he can have.
Yep.
So I'm thinking that probably on turn cards we're playing it on ear, like by ear based on the turn card, but not default barreling it because we have top pair good kicker.
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that since he didn't actually call.
So this is like kind of a 3-bet spot here too. I'm in position versus a reg nit who's a 12-10 fold a 3-bet of 83%.
Okay.
With ace 10, he's in like middle position. So
okay, and
I go ahead and 3-bet. I'm not sure what you think of that, to be honest.
You're not sure what?
What you think of it?
I think it's fine as long as we keep in mind what we're doing in this spot, which is that we're 3-betting as a bluff.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but that's totally fine. I mean, it's a little bit borderline just because like you could do that with weaker hands like ace deuce suited, but at the same time, like there's nothing wrong with it because you're certainly not going to flat that for value.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, because like on any ace high board, kind of screwed. Well, actually, I'm screwed for that guy.
Well, on an ace high board, if he doesn't, I think you can probably check ace high boards and see what he does on turns because he's still going to show up with pocket pairs a lot.
Yeah, no, sorry, sorry, man. I'm not saying it properly. Like, I just mean like if he barrels an ace high board.
Oh yeah, sure.
Then like on the flop and turn, then I probably have to fold a lot.
Yes.
I can't call 3 streets with ace 10.
Exactly. All right. Are there any more specific hands you're like looking for, or?
Yeah. I'm just gonna see. I think there's like a 4-bet spot in here somewhere.
Okay. Well, if you can find that, that'd be great for us to talk about. But we should probably wrap it up soon. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Just probably look at a couple more hands. So if you see one you like, go for it. So how are the how's 10 and L treating you at this point? I know it was kind of up and down.
It's pretty up and down.
Yeah.
So here's a 4-bet spot. I'm taking 6. Pretty sure. So here's my thoughts, and then I'll let you let me know. So
Sure.
This guy's a 2017. He's got a 3-bet stat of 7. It's only over 63 hands, and he's in late position. And like all his stats look pretty decent. Like he's not nothing really like jumps out in front of me like at all.
Okay.
Like he's got pretty reggish stats. He's got a stack that's over 100 big blinds.
Yep.
So I figured like I can actually get away with 4-betting in this spot just because. I mean, if I'm a reg on the button there versus another reg, I'm going to be 3-betting a lot of hands as bluffs just to take it down. So I figure I can 4-bet here just because I have blockers. If he decides he's going to do something ridiculous and flat, I think I'm good. So, I mean, I don't think I'm that bad, but I can also fold if he 5-bet jams as well. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, all of that makes sense. The one thing that I would say definitively is that you should be trying, whenever possible, to look at his 3-bet stat by position. Because
I'm not sure if I actually do that. Take a look. I might.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. Click on it. Click on it. No.
You're checking the sample size.
Yeah, I'm checking the sample size.
And we go
I'm
for
running
it. All right, all right.
Let's like $2.
Let's pause again. So I think that all the reasons you said are valid and good reasons for doing it. You know, at these stakes, hardly anyone is 4-bet bluffing, and so you actually can, ironically, probably get away with it more against people who are 3-betting enough. But I think it's also, you know, you did definitely pick the best spot you could have. You know, he's got great reggish stats. I would prefer it if his 3-bet percentage were a little bit higher, just because then I expect there to be more bluffs in there. But I think that that's probably going to be a profitable spot. I won't do the like fold equity calculation right here, just because it'll slow down my computer. But you know, that's something to look into. That's like a common spot where you can be like, if he folds this much, you know, do I make money? Outright. Sure. Because obviously when we go post flop, if he decides to flat, we're basically abandoning ship. I mean, we can't expect to be good there ever.
Right.
And if he 5-bets, we're snap folding. Probably.
Yeah. No, definitely.
But yeah, I think that's fine as long as you don't start doing it because you like doing it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like obviously
just doing it just because you have an ace in your hand and you think you have blockers to aces, right?
Yeah. So
the reason I did it was just because it's like late position versus late position. So, and then plus he's a reg.
Exactly. And so the other key to that is that if he's a decent reg, he's going to be 3-betting a polarized range when he's in position. So we do expect to see a lot of bluffs that aren't going to like continuing against a 4-bet. So yeah, you just picked a really great spot for it. So I think that's solid.
Thanks. I think that's pretty much it for like half decent hands and like 3-bet spots. So I think, I'm not sure if you have anything else, but I think that's it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was fine. So yeah, that was just Scourge and pocketehs, Matt and Jake, and that was 10 and L on PokerStars, and I guess we'll sign off. See you next time.
Cool. Thanks.